All right, guys. It is like 7:30, so running out of daylight here. But I wanted to make this video for you guys talking about downstreaming. All right, so there's many ways to soft wash houses. I prefer downstreaming. All right. Um, so downstreaming is using essentially a suction hose coming out of your SH tank, and you're pulling chemical. Most downstream injectors are going to pull 80% water, 20% SH, depending on the whatever size downstream injector you like to use. I enjoy the 1.8s. They pull a little stronger, um, and you just get a faster reaction time. But let's just go over the components of a downstream injector, okay? So when you buy a downstream injector without any couplings or fittings, your female or your male, whichever way you like to set it up, on this downstream injector, you will notice an arrow. I don't know if you guys can see the arrow, but it's going that way. So that's the direction your SH is going to flow. So it's going to pull from this side and flow out your high pressure hose that way. All right. So inside of this, which there's nothing in this one, you will find a spring and one of these little beads here. So let me lay this down. So inside of this downstream injector, you will find this little bead and this little spring, and this is what operates the suction inside your downstream injector. So you are to put your spring like so, lay that there first, and then the bead will lay on top of that, and then you will screw it together, and then your suction hose goes on this barb here. All right, and then just pretend you have your couplings on here. So kind of like this. But this is a hold on. Like this right here. Here's a great example. All right. That's a downstream injector. This is my backup. But that's what it looks like built. And then there's the barb there. So this is where the spring and the bead are. So but let's talk about my bypass system here. So this is hooked up to my machine. That's called a whip line going to the machine, and then my high pressure hose goes here. So when I crank the machine, I open this ball valve up, and then now that's pulling chemical. So this suction hose goes into your SH tank, all right, and you pull straight SH when you downstream. And this is going to come out of the high pressure hose, and then I'm going to have either my M5 twist or Shooter Davis tip, and then this is what I use to apply chemical. Okay. So again, guys, downstreaming is just a form of soft washing houses, pre-treating driveways, post-treating driveways, cleaning decks. That's what I prefer because you can keep plenty of these springs and beads on your truck, and you can just make sure that they're lubricated. So when your downstream injector stops pulling chem, it's because that little bead is stuck. So if you take this little barb off here, and you'll need some make sure you don't drop your bead because they're easy to lose. And just take that off, pop the BB out, spray some WD-40 in that little hole there, and then put it back exactly like it was, and then just screw this back on there, connect your suction hose, put on your fittings, and you're good to go. So, but this is what a built downstream injector looks like. Okay, this little extra piece here, it's just a Northern Tool version, and that's just kind of shutting the chemical from being pulled and not to be pulled. So, and I also added this little valve here to shut off any chemical to be pulled as well. But you don't have to do that. But you can order this bypass system online. And like I said, when it's in this position, it's pulling chemical. And then when I'm ready to go to water, I just come over here, open it up, and then it bypasses pulling SH and goes straight to water when you're ready to rinse. So, let's talk about different nozzles, okay? So this is actually my newest purchase. This is the M5 twist, which this pulls chemical, and this is the Davis shooter tip, and they both pull chem. I like the Davis shooter tip because they can shoot really high up. We clean a lot of big houses. So if I'm trying to hit a peak or a trick shot in a corner, I'm gonna rely on the Davis shooter tip. If I'm cleaning the lower parts of the house, and I don't want to use a whole lot of pressure, I can use the M5 twist, which pulls chemical, and then it has the fan, and you can open it up, and that can shoot pretty far as well. I just like having both of these, and I like the M5 twist when it's time to rinse. So there's that. This is just the M5 twist by itself. It's kind of a backup now since I bought this. This is my newest purchase. This is the J-Rod. I like using J-Rods for my 12-volt system over there, but this has the ability to pull chem. If you see how big the orifices are, this is rated for 8 gallon per minute machines. So these are 2 fan options and then 2 streaming. So obviously smaller the orifice, the more pressure you're gonna get. So I use the bigger one when I am soft washing, but this is just a good thing to have, just to give you a bunch of different options. It kind of serves the same purpose as the M5 twist. So it's a great tool. This is new as well. This is the Xjet nozzle. All right, notice this barb on here. This does not pull chemical. You have to put chemical in the 5 gallon pail here, and then so this would be considered Xjetting. So say you have straight SH in that pail there, you hook this up to the suction line, open up this valve, and then this is on your VN10 ball valve. You open it up, and then now you're pulling chemical from the 5 gallon pail. That's called Xjetting, not downstreaming, okay? So you take the Xjet nozzle out, say you're connected to your downstream injector, this will not pull chemical, all right? But this is a great tool for rinsing. I like to use it on wood, all the way on fan, and I idle my machine down. This is just a great tool if you're trying to hit a really tall area with a little bit of pressure. You can open this all the way up like the M5 twist. So the difference between an M5 twist and the Xjet nozzle is the M5 twist pulls chemical, all right? This is just an Xjet nozzle. This does not pull chemical, all right? But it's a great tool to have. I have duct tape on there because people like to come to my truck and take my stuff. So anything with duct tape on there is mine. So, and then this is my ball valve with a little connection here. It's got the reducer on there so I can bypass the gun. So I don't have to use a trigger. And that's my setup to apply chem. And then that goes on my high pressure hose. And then I just grab this real quick. This is just a turbo nozzle. You don't want to use this on houses. This is strictly for concrete, curbs, things of that nature. So, but yeah, guys, downstreaming is a very efficient way. It's cheaper than buying the Comets, the AR-45s. You're just pulling straight chemical through a device that costs about 35 bucks, and they're easy to fix. Just keep the beads. You can buy downstream injector repair kits and to fix the downstream injectors. And make sure I'm still recording, because that would be very unfortunate. And you can fix these. So all you need is the beads and the springs. and just keep some WD-40 on your truck, which I have a whole bottle right here. And at the end of a job, after I'm finished downstreaming, I disconnect this and I spray some WD-40 up in my downstream injector just to keep that ball and that spring nice and lubricated so it doesn't rust. So, but I enjoy Xjetting too. You know, some people they're like, oh, I don't want to carry a 5-gallon bucket around. If you can't do that, you're in the wrong industry. Like, you either have the ability to work and enjoy it because it's manual labor, or you don't. So if you're too lazy to carry a 5-gallon bucket around, then you're probably in the wrong industry anyways. I wanted to show you these shoes. Better look at these. These have held up better than any rubber boot that I've used so far. You can tell I haven't used them. And I gave away my 4-gallon per minute. I gave it to a kid I go to church with. He's young and ambitious. He started his own company, and I just gave him a nice 4-gallon per minute machine. I bought him a new surface cleaner. I gave this one to him, but it's clogged somewhere, so I went and bought him a new one. I'm gonna fix that for him. So that's why the truck looks a lot cleaner. So guys, that's pretty much downstreaming. It's so efficient, it's so effective. You know, the 1.8 is going to give you a strong, it's going to give you a stronger, I guess, ratio. You know, you can get up to 1.5, 2% if you idle your machine down and pull chem. Your 2.1, 2.3, you're going to be, you know, 0.75, 1% less strength, but it gets the job done. Okay, so it really just depends on the scenario. I usually just sling the 1.8. I enjoy it. It gets the job done. You just got to overcompensate pre-wetting and post-wetting all the vegetation around whatever your house you're cleaning. The only plant, guys, that I'm really nervous about is hydrangeas. Everything else seems to be pretty good. So just overcompensate your, you know, watering, and you should be fine. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, I do want to mention this. So as you guys know, I coach some people. I coach guys all over the country, you know, through setting up their Facebook ads, taking on phone calls, and I love helping people. But I will say this, there's been a few different comments from some guys about fake reviews, and it's been mentioned a lot lately. Well, I found out that one of the guys I've been helping has gotten some fake reviews, and I told him, I said, hey man, look, I'm not helping you if you're going to build a dishonest business. I don't want to be a part of that, because I'm trying to help you build a business that is honest, that does things right, that does things slow. And if you're incapable of just being honest, then I can't help you. I don't think you liked it, but I don't really care. I'm not going to help people who cut corners, who lie, because I mean, you're being dishonest. And I'm going to remove myself from that situation. So if you're wanting to come to me for help, I want you to be someone who's willing to work, who's willing to put in the time and the effort and get real reviews. Because if I find out that you're someone that I'm helping and you're getting fake reviews, I'm no longer going to help you. So, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video on downstreaming. I think it's a very effective way to soft wash houses, to pre and post treat driveways. Now you can't downstream to clean a roof. We 12 volt, which I can do a whole nother video on that. So, but anyways, guys, it's almost dark. I put the kids to bed. I just wanted to get this done because the rest of the week is crazy. Scott Lett, Iron City Power Washing.